Hey, Scott from MyGrowthRings.com here once again is in my garage shop, and as promised, today we're going to get into some spindle turning, and also as promised, we've got to get these tools ready. So these are the Benjamin's Best high-speed steel chisels that I purchased from Amazon. Back here, I've got the Windsor Design set made by Harbor Freight. First things first, these have got a unbelievably thick layer of lacquer on them. And so first things first, I'm going to add some lacquer thinner to a jar. I don't have a mason jar, but a glass jar. And I'm going to set a couple of these in and just get the first inch or so completely saturated with the lacquer thinner. And hopefully that'll loosen up the lacquer and wipe that off. So today what I want to do is to get the spindle tools ready for use. So which tools do we use for spindles? I got a roughing gouge, a spindle gouge, some of the, let's see, that one's a bowl gouge, it's a spindle gouge over here. I got a couple skews, I got a parting tool, and maybe, just maybe, we'll go ahead and clean up the scraper. Even though I don't tend to use scrapers on spindles, go ahead and get these ready. I'm also going to just touch up their edges with a sanding disc. We'll maybe at some point talk about the Shopsmith chisel sharpening tool. I don't want to use that today, and it really isn't appropriate for the shape of these chisels. They're made for the Shopsmith chisels. So anyway, just to get you up to speed, I'm going to do that, and then we'll get started. But it looks like we're down to bare metal, so that's good. You know what? There doesn't appear to be a lot of lacquer on these. Interesting. So we are ready to sharpen these. Okay. My rawhide mallet, again, using the cup center. I'm going to mark the center on both ends. This wood is hard maple. It's a 3-inch block. And I need my drive spur as well. That'll do. All right, let's lower that out of the way. There we go. We want to clear the corners. That block is kind of a diamond shape. All right, so let's start with the roughing gouge. We don't have a roughing gouge in both sets. We have a roughing gouge in the Benjamin's Best set. The videos teach you how to turn on YouTube, but all I'm going to do is to show you how to use your Mark V, and we've got to extend our quill a little bit more. Let me explain that. Sliding my carriage over as far as it would go, the tool rest wasn't quite making it past the stock. So by extending the quill, that allows the carriage to travel further, the tool rest to travel further. And we can go way off the end there if we need to. So what I'm going to do here is I have some abrasive on the end of my my disc here, and I'm just going to touch this one up. I was playing around with this last week, and let's do this freehand. So the way we do this, so if you've never turned anything before, there's a couple approaches. One is called scraping and one is called shearing. I espouse shearing primarily on the spindle. Scraping comes into play sometimes on a faceplate turning, not always. But the difference being, it's like peeling an apple. If you had an apple and you stuck a blade straight into it and started just dragging the blade across the apple, you'd get the peel off. But imagine what that apple would look like when you got done peeling. Instead, that's not how we peel apples. We ease the edge in. So for shearing, the approach that I use, it's quite popular. It's referred to as the ABC method or ABC approach. I was introduced to it by Russ Zimmerman, who is a famous wood turner and teacher. Also a gentleman that worked at Shopsmith for a number of years, Ted Denman, really helped me out quite a bit. So the idea behind this is you first touch the tool to the tool rest. So A is to anchor the tool against the tool rest. At that point, you're not cutting anything, you're not touching any wood. B, you begin to, while touching the tool rest, rub the bevel, that is that grind that leads to the tip, rub the bevel against the wood. And then what you're going to do is to slide the tool rest back, or the handle back, that allows it to slide down the tool rest and brings the tip, the cutting edge, into contact with the wood. So you're doing all three things. You're touching the tool to the tool rest, the bevel to the wood, and the chisel tip to the wood. A, B, C, anchor, bevel, cut. Goes something like this. Anchor, rub the bevel, raise the handle up, right until we see a little puff of dust. Now this is very aggressive because I got a big old square block. So I can make it a little less square by speeding it up. Now there is a maximum speed here. You got a speed chart on your machine. I happen to be comfortable turning a bit faster. The one thing you'll notice As I am turning, the wood is being reduced in size, and therefore it's moving away from the tool rest. So I'm having to reach further beyond the tool rest to get to the wood. At some point, I need to stop and adjust my tool rest in to eliminate that space. But I'm going to do about half of this, and then I'm going to move over to the closest thing to a roughing gouge, the large spindle gouge that's here on the Harbor Freight set, and we'll just see how that behaves. And so the ride's getting a lot easier. I can tell I'm almost down to it's completely smooth and round, or completely round, not smooth yet. And because of that, the bevel is staying in contact with wood more than it's not. All right, so let's move over to this half, and I think, I don't know, I normally wouldn't do this with just a standard spindle gouge, but let's try it. Could be fun. Benjamin's Best. No. Windsor Design. Woo. Yeah, that's not nearly as much fun as using the roughing gouge. I also got in some big old chunks here, so I'm going to switch back to the roughing gouge. We'll get this thing down, and I need to move the tool rest in. And let's get this smooth with this gouge. All right. Oh, look, there's still a bit of a label left there, so I got a little bit of a flat yet. Anyway, we're pretty much a cylinder now, and I do like the roughing gouge. That's doing a fine job. So let's go ahead and move on to the skew. Now with the skew, I use this for a lot of things. You can use it for turning a cylinder perfectly round. You can use it for doing tapers. It's also the tool that you use for making beads. It does take practice, and you want to work primarily in this bottom half, the lower half here, for doing beads. Something it takes practice, but see how it goes. Whoa. So the tip of my skew just got up all up in my business. That's not good. So it's time to readjust my tool rest, get this gap closed up. And I think I also want to go ahead and move my tool rest itself higher. Um, Typically for scraping, you have your tool rest set down to where the tip of your tool is touching at about the center point. Higher up for shearing, which is what we're doing here. So that's a lot of my own fault. Try that again. So what's happening here is I've got a very square edge, and the edge of this is catching on my tool rest. Um, yeah, I should have known that, but that was not comfortable. Whew, still look at that spot from that gouge. Okay, let's set that one aside. That's not bad. Don't forget, we're going to answer your questions, comments, and cheap shots in our midweek episode of Stumped Q&A. So if you have any questions, be sure to throw them out down below, and we'll get to it. Also, yes, always, links in the description. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? We have a parting tool. So parting tool we use in the same way, surprisingly to a lot of folks. We touch the tool to the tool rest, the bevel touches the wood, and then we raise the handle up to make contact with the cutting edge. Well, that one we don't. And again. Wow, what a difference an edge makes. Okay, so this is the Benjamin's Best. Try the Harbor Freight. Oh God. Hey guys. Howdy, howdy. Hey guys. Sorry, I can't hear you. I'm making noise over here. Wow, that parting tool's a mess. Hey guys. Hello. So gouges are also used for making coves. So let's try the standard spindle gouge. That'd be great. I like that. A little bit shallow, a little narrower than I'm used to using, but that cut very well. I like that one quite a bit. Now let's try Harbor Freight. Not too shabby at all. Really, that was not bad at all. All right, and then finally, let's go ahead and try to round nose scraper. This is a tool that typically, as I mentioned, might use inside of a bowl. It works with a burr on the edge. This one does not have a burr, so we'll create a quick one here. And for this, let me move the tool rest back a bit. I could just approach this at more of an angle so that it's pointing at the center line, but I don't want to do that. So let's bring this back, drop that down a bit, and we are more or less going to be at the center. And that cut nearly as fine as the gouge. I mean, not a bad job at all. These are burnished. That is not, but it looks good. That's the Benjamin's Best. Let's try the Harbor Freight one. Again, no burr. In fact, that almost feels like the edge has been rounded off. Actually got hung up on something there, but it looks good. Not bad at all. Take a look at our results. Some butchered beads down here. Cuts from parting tools. A little bit of scraping done here, and a couple gouges made with a gouge. A couple coves made with a gouge. All right, so after that, what are my thoughts? What I'll tell you is the Benjamin's Best set, I like. It's got a better fit and finish. The tools are straight. The edges are ground properly. All I had to do was sharpen those. But the Windsor tool, not bad. If you know how to sharpen, and you will have to grind those edges because they're not ground well. That parting tool was ridiculous. Once you get them ground to the proper shape and then sharpened, they seem to behave fine. It's a little bit light. The handle, I can tell, is not quite lined up with the tool, so that's kind of wonky. But you know, for the price, not bad at all. If you're looking for high-speed steel and something you just want to play around with, if you've never used it before and you need to get practicing on sharpening tools before you move on to buying Sorby, I think they're both a great buy. So don't forget our follow-up video this midweek that we call Stumped Q&A. I'd love to answer your questions, comments, and cheap shots, so leave those down below, and I will see you then. Make it a great week.